All right, let's come out of the court and come into the studio here. Where we're excited to announce to you that the new information minister is with us here on Metro TV, and it will be very appropriate to ask her a few questions before she takes leave of us. And she's the person of the lawyer, Abubakar Fatimatu. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, my lady. And how are you doing today?
I'm fine. Thank you so much. And congrats once again.
Thank you.
How does it feel like, the new office as the minister, as in the substantive minister now?
It's been exciting, it's been busy, but not new. I had the privilege of working with my brother, Honorable Okon Nkrumah, as deputy minister at the ministry. So all the activities lined up for the budget year I was privy to. So it's not like in other situations where I'm thrown into a completely new circumstance.
Right.
In this case, I've been part of the planning, I've been part of drawing programs for the ministry this year. So it's just that a leader is moved to go and serve an equally important portfolio. And as a member of the team, I've been asked to lead the team. So it's not really different, just that I feel the weight and the need, to be more present.
Let me bring in this technical question. You mentioned Kojo Nkrumah. He was an MP.
Yes.
But he was the substantive minister.
Absolutely.
Now you have a deputy who's also a friend of this media house, Sylvester Mensah, who is also an MP. So as deputizing you, I don't know what's going to be different. Your minister was an MP, and you were deputizing him, so you will do a lot of work maybe for him. In this case, your deputy is a member of parliament. So he's going to be demanded by the August House and also by the executive. So how's it going to play out?
That is the constitutional dispensation that we are under. The constitution requires that the president appoints majority of his ministers from parliament, bearing in mind that they have a legislative obligation before the House. So I believe in the wisdom of the crafters of the constitution. They anticipated that those appointed by the president from the House would be able to perform multiple roles as members of the executive and also as MPs.
Yeah.
So at any point in time, if they are required to go to cabinet, lead the ministry in terms of implementation of policies, they make themselves available. I think it is more hectic than for those of us who are not MPs, because I have serving as
actually, that's why
an information minister.
At some point, as information minister, you need him more, and he might also be needed in the August House. What's going to be?
We treat it as case-by-case cases. I think with Kojo it was seamless, and with my brother Sylvester Tete, it's going to be the same. So it's not a struggle at all.
Now, as information minister, what exactly do you think? Recently, we were advised by the president to be responsible or to practice responsible journalism and all that. What is going to be really different, under your office, with a few months that we have left to go out of this particular government? What will you require of us, and what should we also expect from you?
First of all, not just the president, Reporters Without Borders, World Economic Forum, and all international organizations that are observing developments in the media space with the digital revolution and the new introductions to what we knew over the years as media. You bear with me that over the past 10 years, a lot has changed with technology, with equipment, with style, and everything else. With that in mind, one of the key issues that has come to the front burner is the issue of misinformation and disinformation. And you realize that for perpetrators who are not within the media space or information sector, mostly people look away because of lack of clout or credibility or smaller platform. But the moment it starts to trickle into mainstream media, for instance, someone writes something on Twitter, now X, or on Facebook or Instagram, and then a big media house will screenshot and then do a story based on that. If it is done without verification and it turns out to be false, then you become a conduit, carrying the weight of your institution and your credibility and goodwill that you've built over the period to support something that is false. So we bear a bigger responsibility to, first of all, create awareness, to sensitize practitioners within the space that these are challenges that have implications on economies globally. It has implications on health. Imagine when, during the advent of COVID, and then someone will write that I have heard from this religious leader or this person that nothing like COVID exists. If someone relies on that information because you shared on your bigger platform, and then they don't do the vaccination, they don't pursue, actual practice of any of the protocols that were listed, and they contract it and die, it is as a result of a misleading publication which was also shared. So we treat it as one of the very urgent conversations going into an election to encourage those who have the blessing of having a lot of eyeballs, having Ghanaians follow them and trust them because of the good work that all of you have done over the years, to verify first, go into reporting, not thinking that you need to favor A or B, but stick to the facts for the sanity and the preservation of the country that we call Ghana, so that we can go into an election and come out as we've done in the past.
Talking about elections, what are we to maybe expect from the government, especially your office? Because already there's so much information within the election arena, with the Electoral Commission, the media, the public and everything. So what should we be expecting from you so that we do the right thing with information coming from the Office of the Information as well?
Government business continues until 7th January of 2025, when a new government is formed as a ministry. The policy is to remain on course with all the programs that have been budgeted for and other programs that we can roll out for the benefit of Ghanaians. Also bearing in mind the fact that we also form a ruling government which has a candidate. It's also to sensitize our communicators, our stakeholders, in CSOs everywhere, that we are confident in the policies and programs of government. Let's stick to selling the good works of government and also address challenges within the space if there are any. And we believe that based on the track record alone, we will be able to make a good case for any candidate, or for our principal candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who we are presenting for the next election. And we also encourage all parties to do the same. We should realize that a lot of democratic countries have been able to proceed to elections on the basis of issues, from polls to voting day. People have always listened to policies, policy proposals, track records of implementations of policies, and have taken decisions. When it's issues-based, we can be rest assured that there wouldn't be the need for violence, there wouldn't be the need for incitement of any sort. And then we can go into an election and come out on Monday.
Just, I can't let you go without asking the question about the Right to Information Bill. I mean, since its passage, I think a lot of institutions, including the media, we have tried making use of it. But sometimes we are hit with, go and come back type of thing. Because you want some information, institution will tell you they have to print it, you have to pay. Sometimes the information you want, you use the information, Right Information Bill to apply, law to apply, and you will not get it. What will you tell us about the use of the Right to Information Bill? Is this something that maybe the media is not getting correctly or rightly?
Okay. So first of all, the RTI Act was passed in 2019. It received the President's assent and came into force in 2020. The Act has 3 legs in terms of implementation. We have the demand side, which is requests that will come from media practitioners and the general public. It also has the supply side, which is the Access to Information Division of the Information Services Department, where they recruit, train, and deploy RTI officers and designated officers to the various MDAs and MMDAs. So what happened? And then we have the regulatory side, which is the RTI Commission. This is the interesting part. The RTI does not give access to every information. Okay. It gives access to every information apart from exempt information. For instance, if you are requesting for information for a public institution or an institution that has received public funding, unless it is specified under a section of the Act that such information is exempt, the institution that you are making the request upon is mandated to reply within the stipulated period and also at a fee determined by Parliament.
Okay.
So the fee of processing, for instance, if you have requested for a record of 300 pages from a state agency that may not even have such amounts budgeted in their budget to be printing copies or those, because you have made the request, apart from those who are vulnerable, because the Act makes exemptions of payment for very poor people. Okay. But if upon assessment you don't belong to that category, then you are required to pay for the printing. Those are the issues that the LI, when it comes into force, will be able to determine.
Oh, okay.
So, but it makes a general exemption for poor, very poor people. Because
so how,
they
how do I determine who is very poor?
That is why I said, because the LI is not in force. You know, after the Act is passed, it's an implementation, but it also calls for a legislative instrument to also be passed. That is where you will have the complementary information about nitty-gritties and details. But so far, the ATID has already trained and deployed about 350 RTI personnel. So if you go to like the Ganok District Assembly, if you go to SIGA, SOEs, district assemblies, ministries, you will find RTI officers there. Where they don't have RTI officers, they designate one staff from the institution for the ATID to train so that they will serve as officers in the time being. That being said, you mentioned that there are times you will make a request on an institution and then they will be doing some back and forth because they don't want to process it. When they fail within the statutory stipulated period of 14 days without an excuse, without cause, that is when you can exercise your appellate right to reach out to the RTI Commission to compel them to respond to the request if it is not exempt. That is why you realize that the RTI Commission comes out with an announcement that they fined this institution 50,000 because of non-compliance. Even beyond the RTI Commission, where there is such a misunderstanding or non-compliance and it is not being resolved by the Commission, you can proceed to the High Court, which also has appellate jurisdiction on the RTI issues. So you realize that if there is clarity that, okay, I requested for this information, but they have quoted a section stating that this borders on national security and the Act itself requires that such information is exempt. It is not because they don't want to give it to you. It is because by law, there are certain information that are meant to be given based on the need to know. Also with the intention of preserving the country's image, preserving the brand, preserving security installations, and preserving the peace of the country in general, and also ensuring stability. But where you are required to get it, you can insist on getting it. Failure of which I would encourage that you take it upon yourself to just exhaust all the appellate opportunities that you have, whether through the Commission or the High Court. And there's been instances that people have tested the law. And for those like Fourth Estate and other institutions that are frequently using the RTI to access information, they will tell you that they've used the processes and it takes them all the way to the end to make sure there is a resolution.
When is the legislation instrument likely to come?
It will go back before the House. Also because upon implementation, we've been in the implementation phase for 4 years.
Right.
Then you also get to experience at first hand some of the challenges on the field.
Okay.
But an LI is not sufficient to amend. Okay. It can only make complementary provisions. So the ministry is collaborating with the RTI Commission to make sure if we are going before the House with the LI or if there is a need for any amendments, there is consensus even before we approach Parliament.
Right. Just in 1 minute, look into that camera and tell journalists and maybe the public what you are assuring to do in your office in the next 6 months or less.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Fatimatu Abubakar, Minister for Information, Republic of Ghana. Within the next 6 months, under my leadership and that of my brother, Sylvester Tete, we intend to continue the rollout of the media support programs, particularly the mechanism on the safety of journalists and also the media capacity enhancement program. We want to open for a call in June for journalists who are interested in participating in the MSEP to apply on the platform and go through the necessary processes to be part of the next cohort. We have so far trained 140 journalists across the country through the MSEP program, and we assure you that it is non-political, it is not for agenda setting, but it is a program that is drawn from the key journalists and media institutions and associations across the country who have built a faculty and also come up with curriculums that are suitable to emerging trends. It's my prayer that you take advantage of these opportunities and also further train and improve the practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Minister.
Thank you, my lady.
Thank you so much for paying us a visit here. So we'll also pay a visit to you in your office. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Right. Well, you're also watching News BT on Metro TV, and that is the Minister for Information, Fatimatu Abubakar, paying a visit